I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I'm looking at my phone. Get the tweet from Ian Rappaport. The Jets sign Tyron frickin' Smith. Let's
Jets, Jets. Let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Samini. Jets reporter for The Athletic Mr. Zach Rosenblatt. Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
I honestly don't even know what to frickin' say. Tyron Smith, the biggest free agent right now, out on the market. The Jets go out and get him. Holy frickin' crap. Let's go. Let's go. Veteran left tackle. You bring him in. You secure left tackle. Now, will the Jets go playmaker in the draft? Who knows? But news, if you're just coming in, Tyron Smith signs with the Jets, coming from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. I mean, I don't even know what to say. This just opens up so many opportunities for the Jets. We go out, get the biggest name on the market after all the big names kind of go fast. We go out, we get Tyron Smith. Great move. Now, do we go playmaker in the draft? That's the big question now. Now, do we go playmaker in the draft? You know, I'd love like an Odunze at 10. Love an Odunze at 10. Love it, love it, love it. Let's freaking go. Tyron Smith to the Jets if you're just joining in. Guys, I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Here, I'm putting it in the chat right now. Call into the show if you want to voice your opinion on Jets signing freaking Tyron Smith. Love to hear what you guys have to say on this incredible move by JD. Incredible move. Let me pin it right now in the chat. Should be pinned right now. Call into the show. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Great freaking move by Joe Douglas. Great freaking move. Let's go into the chat, man. I'm so excited. This is what, other than Rodgers, this is one of the biggest additions I've seen as a Jet fan. Freaking crazy. Bryce was first here. He was going crazy as well. I mean, freaking great move. Freaking great move. No way JD did this. I love it. Let's go. Yeah. Kuka Lake's in here. Kuka, how you doing, brother? The first one on it? Yeah, I just saw Jake Asman. He's going live in 5 minutes, he said. But yeah, I got that tweet, ran down to my studio area, and I was like, I'm going live. We got Nick. Love to see you, Nick. Love to see you. Empire Jet Zone. Good to see you in the chat. Jorge, call Boy Green. He's going to go nuts. Yeah, Boy Green was on the show earlier. Love Boy Green. He's probably going nuts right now. We are now trading back and getting a second back. I don't know. I mean, this news is just coming literally within seconds. So, not seconds, minutes. But if I'm definitely down for trading back and getting a second, 100%. I have Kaz and Hughes coming on. So, Kaz and Hughes coming on next week. So hopefully we can talk about that with them. Mathis, here's what you say. What took so long? Yeah, I know. I think it was the injuries that really took Tyron Smith so long to sign. Jorge, Bakhtiari to back him up, then Fatanu in the later first round. Yeah, I totally agree. Nick, I see you, man. We're gonna get to you in a second. I'm just going through the chat. R&R. Wow, nice scoop. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, Nick, we lost you, man. Well, I had you ready to come on, and then I think I lost you. Odunze sounds great. Yeah, Odunze would be a great option. Love that guy. Love that guy. Bryce, again. Love to see Bryce. Nick, who was just on the phone line. Nick, love for you to come back up. Love to hear what you guys what you have to say. I'm just gonna get through the chat, then I will go to you. Still need a young offensive tackle to groom. I will still go offensive line at 10. I think there's, like I said, I'm going to talk to the insiders this week, but I still think there's a good possibility that they do that. Jorge and trade for Cortland Sutton. Yeah, I had Samini on my show on Tuesday. He said he doesn't think they're going to get Sutton because, quote, he doesn't think Sean Payton wants to give up his whole receiver room. So now it gives us leverage in the draft. Yeah, it gives us a ton of room in the draft where what we want to do. Great signing. G3 Ministries, good to see you, man. Blitz BK? Blitz Brooklyn, I think. This is freaking awesome. Now time to get a receiver. Yep, I agree with you. Cuca Lake Connor sounding like Boy Green, lol. I like the comparison. I love Boy Green. Love Boy Green. Let's see. I think I've said what's up to everyone. Nope. I'll get to the questions in a little, but King Lowski, if you want to call in, man, pin comment in the chat. I love to see you in here. Love to see you in here. But if you want to call in, guys, pin comment in the chat if you want to call into the show. I mean, this is freaking crazy, man. If you want to call into the show and voice your opinion on this great move by the great Joseph Douglas, definitely come in. Carlos Ramos, much respect, young man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Zachary, Super Bowl, I'm hyped. I dream. I dream. The big fella's in here. Let's effing go. Love to see you in here, the big fella. If you want to call into the show, pin comment in the chat. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. Michael Torres, let's go, Jet Up. Good to see you, Michael. Cuckoo Lake, turn down your volume if King calls. Your ears will be bleeding. LOL. Love Lowski. Love everyone in here, guys. If you want to call in, pin comment in the chat. But let's go. Let's get into the questions. And Monkey Man Stan, good to see you in here. And Flowing Air Productions. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. I think Dillard is being released, and Titans certainly go grab ball. It showed that the Jets couldn't snag out. Yeah, I do think Dillard will be released. All right, yeah, guys, we got a caller on the line, so we're gonna go to him. Our man, Nick frickin' T. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Connor, great show, man. Awesome
Thank
stuff.
I appreciate
You got an intro, you got some great guests. That's awesome, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So what are your thoughts on the signing? I mean, I'm literally, as you could see, I'm in my pajamas right now. I showered. I'm just looking through my phone, like literally just like about to go to sleep. And then I see the Jet Press like quote tweeted something from Ian Rappaport, and I was like, no way. And then I look at Ian Rappaport's tweet, and it's like Tyron Smith. At first, I thought it was a joke, but now I'm hearing it's like actually legit. So this is a great move by the Jets. I didn't expect them to do this after the whole Moses thing, but what are your thoughts, man? I'm hype.
2 tackles is crazy to think about to get in one off season.
Mhm.
So for them to get Moses and 2 starting tackles, regardless of their grades and PFF, whatever you want to talk about, it's impressive. And I didn't think Smith was leaving Dallas because these guys don't leave. Tackles are like quarterbacks; they don't leave their already. If they're good, they don't leave.
Especially the older ones.
Yeah, and this reminds me a lot. And again, he's injury plagued, but it's a similar situation a couple of years back. Trent Williams in San Francisco had.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do remember that. Yep, that was.
You take the chance. I see the cat there.
Yeah. So I moved out of my room, obviously down to my basement, and it's like an open basement now. So she's always gonna walk by. I tried to get her off to the side, but just trying to stay on the topic, man. But Tyron Smith is just a great signing. I really like him. 2 tackles, like you mentioned, 2 starting tackles. Really like it. So now
it's not likely in free agency in an offseason to get 2 new tackles that is not, and like veteran tackles, not necessarily like a draft, one, usually draft one, sign one. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't like, he does have health concerns. So we will see. I wouldn't rule out a tackle at 10 because there's no, just like edge rushers and wide receivers, you can double down. And I think with this team, there's no certainties. Morgan Moses is 33, Smith is 32, coming off injury plague years. I don't think, we all like to dream about, whether it's a Dunze or Neighbors, some of these wide receivers, but still everything is won within the trenches with the offensive line. So doubling down and getting another tackle at 10 is not a bad idea.
Yeah, so you obviously mentioned going tackle. You like the idea. Would you mind maybe a Bowers? You obviously mentioned Odunze and Neighbors, but would you mind like Bowers at 10? Personally, no.
Hate tight ends. Yeah. So I'm a little clearly a little bit older than you. Like Kyle Brady, some of the tight ends that we've had, even the more recent, even in the early 2000s, like Dustin Keller was solid, but he wasn't a
Yeah.
Pro Bowl tight end. And if you think about it like this, not many people talk about this. Rodgers is our end all be all regardless. How many Pro Bowl tight ends has Aaron Rodgers had? He doesn't have very many Pro Bowl
Yeah,
caliber.
not a lot. I mean, they were like last year when he was coming, and we basically had to bring him like every single player he's ever played with in order for him to come and play for the Jets. Like there was like Mercedes Lewis in the
Yeah.
talk, but that guy isn't good at all. The Jets really haven't had a lot of good tight ends. I think Conklin's solid. Obviously, if you look at like the all-time greats, you have like Richard Castor and Mickey Schuler, and those were like way back. So Bowers.
Johnny Mitchell was pretty good
Bowers,
a couple years
yeah,
back, way back in the 90s.
yeah, he was solid, but Bowers at 10 I just don't like because we have Ruckert and Conklin, and I feel like I'm not gonna say a waste of a pick because I think, don't get me wrong, Bowers is very, very talented, but I don't think the Jets need him. Like I'd rather get Conklin and Ruckert reps and then bring in like a random like tight end 3, like a veteran, maybe like Jimmy Graham or someone like that. Someone of
Well,
his like
here's a good example, right? The last couple of years, look at Kyle Pitts. He's a top 10
yeah,
pick, phenomenal
horrible.
athlete. Phenomenal athlete. I mean, I think he's in the wrong system, but like to the same extent, if you're not with the right quarterback, there's only, even in a game where you're down and you're throwing for 400 yards, you're only
Mhm.
getting 40 to 50 attempts. So when you look at
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
you have to think about it as different elements of the offense. So your wide receiver 1, 90% of us play fantasy football. Wide receiver 1 gets 10 to 15 targets. So think about it like that. Even in a game where you're throwing 40 times, that's already 25% of your targets. So if you're going out and Garrett Wilson's already R1, so that you're already taking away 25% of the targets. So you look at a Bowers tight end, if you use a first round pick on that position, it's a
Mhm.
secondary position within the offense. So again, you're looking for someone that's going to complement Garrett Wilson, not necessarily, it's an embarrassment of riches like Cincinnati has with with 2-1s with T Higgins
Yeah.
and Jamar Chase. It doesn't happen that often, but at the end of the day, there's still only so many snaps. Regardless, you can have, we all play fantasy, we all play, Madden, whatever it is.
Yes, yes.
You can have Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, T Higgins, you know, uh, you name Kelsey your tight end, but you only have so many plays to give them the ball. So I think we have to really consider that you just need someone that in the 5 to 7 attempts or targets that they're going to get for a wide receiver 2, that's going to catch 90% of those targets.
So you'd like a Mike Williams kind of guy, someone like that, someone of
Mike
him.
Williams.
Like
I think. Listen, he puts up numbers, but he's not healthy, and I always like Tyler Boyd more than him because I think he
yeah, I
complements.
like Boyd.
I like a guy who can. Garrett Wilson. The beauty of Garrett Wilson, and I think really good coaching and coordinators, is that you can move around your best player. Justin Jefferson, and I remember this was last year. I want to say last year or the year before. And someone's going to fact check me, but is Kevin O'Connell was an LA Ram coordinator, right? Like quarterback, so something along those lines. And basically Justin Jefferson came to him when he became the head coach of the Vikings. How do I get those Cooper Kupp targets? Same thing. You move your best players around to the positions that make them successful. So I like the versatility of a guy like a Boyd over a guy like a Mike Williams, who's a little bit taller, less likely to be a slot guy, like the 6 to 6'2" receiver that can be inside, outside, that allows Wilson to move all around.
Yeah, I agree. I like Boyd. I think Boyd's a good option. But Icy, I think, had a question. Has Connor Williams been picked up yet? If not, I'd sign him. No, Williams is one of those guys who's kind of lingering on the market. He was really solid with Miami. I wouldn't be upset to bring him in, but especially with the draft, just like a little more, a month and 10 days away until round 1. But I think the Jets right now, we really just need to solidify wide receiver. But other than that, I think we're in a really solid place right now. I really like the moves Joe Douglas has made on offense. And I'm the first to tell you that, like, Joe Douglas is not a great GM. And I'm the first to applaud him when he makes an incredible move. So I think every move he's made this year, I can't complain. If you look, Tyrod Taylor, incredible move, solidified our backup. Javon Kinlaw, only thing I'd critique is really the money. John Simpson, I think, is a good guard. You could bring him in. I mean, his film is really solid. Lakey Fotu, even like not an expensive signing. That's someone who can compete for the defensive tackle 4 spot. And then obviously you have a guy like Tyron Smith who we bring in, who's just absolute baller. And then we bring back Solomon Thomas, which I thought is a great move. I think
He needed a run stuffer. Thomas is loved by this regime.
yeah,
Williams is interesting with Icy's point. Like Williams is interesting coming off the ACL. I think it was an ACL.
yeah.
But he's a veteran guard who's probably going to sign. You would think he's a guard who's going to sign with a team with a chance to compete, which is why now I feel like, which again, he's played more than him. So Bakhtiari is completely
Mhm.
off the table now in terms of that. But that was the reason why I thought Bakhtiari might come or might not sign, because a guy like that, and regardless of position, I think we all have to consider the fact that if you're an all-pro or a pro bowler, not likely you're going to go somewhere to and sign a contract to be a backup.
Yeah.
You're more likely going to sign somewhere to compete for a starting job. So, again, like same thing like Bakhtiari, I don't care how long you've played or not played. He still has multiple all-pro seasons. He's going to compete somewhere for a starting job.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm happy that he's not coming. Obviously, Tyron Smith has been my number one option for a long time, and I've said it. I really doubted Joe Douglas. I said the Jets aren't going to sign Tyron Smith. It's just not going to happen, especially after the Moses trade. But they bring him in. I'm still on cloud nine from what happened 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes ago. It actually is right now. But the cap room, I think you'll see some restructures in the coming days just from talking to some guys around the team. They're saying some guys to look out for is like a DJ Reed extension. Did you see like the tweet? Did you see the tweet he put out? I don't know if you saw that, but he put out like some huge tweet about like exciting news coming or something. It was about 2 days ago or something. So
DJ Reed?
DJ Reed. So a lot of people like came right to the like conclusion of it being an extension, a move that I haven't talked to anyone, like any sources about this at all, but I personally I don't know if you do this, but I'd trade JFM for a third round pick right now. If it get him off the table, don't have to restructure his deal. I'd trade him for a third round pick right now. Would you? I really like him.
But I mean, realistically, to be honest, not likely. Because think about this: like Brian Burns just got traded to the Giants for a 2 and a 5. So when you look at that comp, right, and he's an elite pass rusher,
He's elite, yeah.
Nowhere near what like JFM's wishes he could be, anything like.
Of course, yes.
But when you look at that comparable, and I know it's funny, that's why I like being on the show with you. Like Jake and I argue about comps all the time with trade comps.
Yeah.
You just saw it. Like we talked about Ayuk once back, but like you just saw it happen with Jerry Jeudy, a former first round pick, going for a 6 and a 7, right? Keenan Allen, granted it's cap, the cap does exist. The cap is a very real thing. And Keenan Allen going for a 4, which we could have had, because he's making what 20 million, 25 million against the cap, is a realistic thing. So the JFM thing, yeah, I never really was a big JFM fan. I think he's better suited as a defensive tackle, but in terms of trade value, I don't think he would get more than a 5, because look at his numbers. Like, has he produced more than? I don't even think he's got 6 sacks in a season. So when you look at
he's a pressure type of guy. He'll get you like 50 pressures a year. But the reason I came to a third rounder is because the Jet X Factor off-season simulator, one of the trade offers, they had like I think it was the Commanders and the Raiders. It was like JFM for a third, and I'm like, I'd accept that 100%. every
Yeah.
day, and I see Bryce is asking what's their cap. According to Over the Cap, not counting the Tyron Smith signing, the Jets have $25 million in cap room. The Tyron Smith one hasn't like gone in their system yet, but yeah, I think that signing's solid, and I really like it, and I feel like these restructures are paying off because my concern was we were going to restructure all these guys and literally just not make a splash and just push more money down the road just for the fun of it and not use any of our cap
Well,
room.
the money doesn't accrue interest, Connor, right? Like, so I think
Yeah,
Itzik. I don't know if I know you're a little bit younger, but like Itzik always used to be a capologist and a money guy, and he always it was an ongoing joke. He was just like saving up money for something for like rainy day, but he never used it. And yeah, like it's I don't the one thing that JD has done that has proven itself out is he reallocates the money. He spends the money when he gets it. So whether it's Rodgers restructuring last year for Cook, who is what it is, but he at least restructured and we use that money. He does reallocate the money, and you saw it. It was going to happen, and I think this was just a little bit more surprising. I was expecting a trade. I really was expecting a wide receiver trade, which still might happen, but
yeah,
I was surprised that Smith. I'm still shocked that Smith signed. I really don't expect.
yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to leave Dallas.
So I did get like a odd feeling because obviously you know Quincy Enuma, the former Jet, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so he was on this. Did you hear about this? The show that he was the Jet show, like they have like the Jets reporters like Hendershot, Allen, Greenberg, those guys. So Numa was on the Jets YouTube channel about 3 days ago with Eric Allen hosting like a free agent show, and he basically like came on and was like, I have inside information on where Tyron Smith is going because Anuma and Tyron Smith are like really good buddies. They went to high school together. So I'm like, that's interesting. Why would he come on a Jet show and say that if he knew he wasn't going to come to the Jets? So I found that a little interesting, but I didn't think too much of it. And then obviously
yeah.
circling back tonight, the Jets sign him.
It's funny you mentioned it. It's an interest. I didn't know Noon was now on the shows with Eric Allen and things like that. Especially after the last I heard with that name was the Adam Gaze like injury issues, where he was posting comments about. Oh my gosh, someone's going to correct us in the chat or correct me in the chat, I should say. But he basically like there's injury reports where he was showing up to training camp to try and get treatment. So there's something along those lines that during the Adam Gaze era that it was a whole big, to do inside the locker room where he was trying to get treatment and he couldn't, and he was on the injury report, he wasn't. There's something along those lines. Someone knows this. What I'm referring to, but it's interesting that now he's back in the fold. Interesting player. But yeah, I mean, they all have relationships with one another, right? Like everyone's an insider with one another. So interesting to see, what happens. I'm still hoping that, honestly, I really don't think where we get a wide receiver is going to be in free agency, because you have to think about it like, well, consider this just alone. Now, not everybody's going to be in, like, not everyone needs a quarterback. Not everyone needs a wide receiver, right? It's case specific. But if 10 teams need a wide receiver, you're still bidding against 10 teams versus a trade proposition where you can get Terry McLaurin for a 3rd round pick. And he has no right, as long as he doesn't have a no trade, it's whatever the Washington Commanders feel is justified in that trade. So that's where I think that a lot of the mid-round picks, the 1, the 2 4s, and the 3 that we got could really go towards, or at least more so the 3 and the 4 could go towards getting us that wide receiver too. Because again, you don't need, as much as we love to have the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase dilemma for Aaron Rodgers, you don't need that, because you just need someone that's going to come in and for the 5 to 7 passes that they get targeted is going to catch those and move the chains.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have another question for you, Nick. Jorge is asking in the chat. We'll both answer this. Chase Young might be an option for defensive end. Then he asked me what we thought. I've heard his name coming around, but I'm not too big on him. I don't want to add another edge rusher. I mean, we already have Will McDonald. The guy couldn't find the field last year. I'm not too big on adding another edge guy. What about you, Nick?
We need to, depth-wise. So, but here's the thing. Chase Young, I love the guy. I think he was great. So here's the thing. He was graded higher than, was it Nick or Joey Bosa? One of the whatever Bosa brother. I was confused them. Coming out of oh gosh, Oklahoma? No, sounds like Oklahoma, no, Oklahoma or Alabama. But he was graded higher than his predecessor, who was one of the Bosa brothers, who the consensus was just unanimous stud defensive end, and proved it out, right? So he has that potential.
Yeah.
If we didn't have Jermaine Johnson and just use the first round pick on Will McDonald, and not only that, but the thing is, I think we have to consider the fact that, and Saleh says this all the time, they come in waves, right? It's a rotation. And that's why Bryce Huff left. So Chase Young doesn't fit in that mold in the sense of he's an every down type of defensive end. He's going to go somewhere where he gets big money. Maybe not big money because he hasn't produced big money.
But what money larger than what the Jets are going to give him?
Yeah, like Jake and I were talking about this earlier. I don't think even 10 million is enough. I think that's like an overspend on a third defensive end.
Really?
Yeah, because think about it like this. In this system, you have Quinnen Williams already on the interior. So you have a guy who's making close to 20. I think he's making 20 million against the cap. So you have 20 million already invested in interior, probably top 5, guaranteed top 5. Maybe now that Donald retired, probably top 2 or 3 defensive tackle. Him, Chris Jones. Who else can you name that's an interior defensive lineman that's really a stud? Those are the 2 off the top of my head. So you've allocated an interior presence, which frees up the outside for more single one-on-one matchups. So Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald can benefit from that. Another defensive end to me, like I like Yannick Ngakoue. I've always liked him.
He's solid.
And he's coming off a down year, so he might be someone that's a veteran on a cheap deal. I know I've heard, Leonard Floyd played in Buffalo this past year. Someone like that's going to be situational. It's hard to spend a lot of, and I know defensive ends get that money, but if you're not going to start that person, it's hard to allocate that much money to someone who's going to be a rotational player. Clowney today coming in. Sorry to interrupt you. But
Yeah, I think I could definitely see Clowney to the Jets just because the age, and I think we can get him for cheap, but I hope, it would be nice to bring in another edge guy. I just don't view it as like a top need. I think safety, like Jorge saying in the chat, is a bigger need than what's it called? Edge guy. But I think the Jets they still need to fill wide receiver. I think they still need to bring in a safety. I think they need to have some more work to do. And then Italian Eddie / Ralphie. Any thoughts on OBJ?
Italian. I'm Italian too, Eddie. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not too high. I'm not too high on OBJ. I think he's a solid player. At best, I could see him wide receiver 3 with this team. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, what do you have? 500 yards with Baltimore last year? Like he
didn't really he barely got any targets.
I think the most I saw was was like something on Twitter of like him getting a PI call. So like
I saw nothing great out of him, but it's better that than nothing.
Well, he's one of those guys that like, and this is where I get, and forgive me, but like for saying it, but like I'm very high on wide receivers that are 6'3" or taller, because here's the thing: we all get older, we all lose speed, and speed is something that you lose over time, but you don't lose like your height. If you're 6'3", that separation, regardless, you're going to get contested balls. That's why it was really surprising that how bad Alan Lazard was, because he's 6'4", 6'5". Like, just throw it up to him in the red zone. If you're that weak, if you play that small at 6'4", 6'5", then you really got some issues. Like, I really am always in favor of those tall wide receivers that can do it, because they age much better. Than any of these normal speed guys. So I always thought of ODB as more of a speed kind of slant, one-trick pony. Once he lost that step, there's guys like that, like the Jets, Santonio Holmes. Once he, they get that foot injury, they lose that step, and that's it for them. Like the contested ball, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter anymore.
Yeah, I can only see him 3 at best personally for this team. I mean, Johnny, I don't know if you were in earlier. I had Boyd Green on the show at 6, I believe it was, and Johnny was saying he thinks OBJ for wide receiver 4, and I love Johnny, but I don't I don't think OBJ will be willing to do any role that concedes lower than 3. And I think some teams there's a chance that he gets like a possibly not a one opportunity, but like a lower tier 1 opportunity and like a high tier 2 ceiling kind of. So I definitely don't see OBJ coming to the Jets though.
Yeah, like it's a team that, well, they already just made that move for Johnson, but like it's gonna be some team watch that's like Carolina with some like rookie quarterback or second year quarterback that's just desperate to try and throw out another name. That's usually that'll sign him. Watch like that. I'm trying to think offhand. Like who'd Washington get for their quarterback yet? Did they sign anybody yet?
Oh, they Washington. I know they no. They lost two quarterbacks. Sam Howell they sent to Seattle, and then they lost Brissett to free agency. So they're probably going to draft like May or Hope Williams falls.
I hope they get May because I don't want Drake May is the guy I think is the stud quarterback in this class.
Oh, I think he's the I look at him and I think of Mitch Trubisky. So we disagree there. I think Jaden
Really?
Daniels is going to be the best quarterback in this class. I think
Daniels reminds me of coming out of Watkins. Watson, Deshaun Watson. He
yeah,
looks he has a similar throwing style, and I could see that. I agree with you.
yeah, I think Caleb is gonna be solid, but he's not gonna live up to these. He's super overrated in my opinion. Like I think he'll be a good quarterback, but he's not gonna be like this generational. Some people are saying he's like one of the best prospects to. I forgot who the name they compared him to, but one of like the best prospects to come out. He's like people are treating him like the Wemby of the NFL. If you're familiar with the NBA, but
honestly, I don't like the whole. What did he came out and said something like, "I can make more money in college if I don't go to these." Like that is just already is a big turnoff. But
yeah, the NIL stuff is a joke.
Yeah,
I hate that stuff.
And the secondary part of it is like, and this is what it's going to be really hard. Like if he struggles his rookie year, which I mean everyone kind of struggles, and we know
Yeah.
with Zach Wilson, but like it's going to be really hard for him to struggle with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen as his 2 wide receivers. Like you've got 2 stud veterans that'll, as long as you put the ball half decent placement, they're going to make some plays. So it'll be interesting to see. And they brought in a running back too. Did they get Swift? I think they got Swift.
The who?
DeAndre Swift. The Bears, I think, got Swift.
Yeah. Oh, the Bears. I saw a tweet from Schefter. Poles has been very active free agency so far. Like the guys he's brought in. They brought Byard, Swift. There were a bunch of other big names out there, but like, wow, he really kind of showed up this free agency. I'll try to find it was on Instagram. I saw it. Oh, I'm gonna lose it now. But
no, bring back the Jets. You made a great point. I don't want to diminish it because I thought about this ad nauseum, and it's great. The safety market is so rich.
Oh, it's so good. It's
sad because like I get it because we did the same thing last year with Joyner, or was it 2 years ago? But
yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's injured. He tore his ACL or had a season-ending injury, and then we brought him back because let's give him a shot. Chuck Clark, same thing. Chuck Clark's proven himself. I like Chuck Clark better than Joyner in this situation, but like when you look at all that talent at safety that's still available, it's like, did we just kind of settle? And I get it. The cap, you only have so much money. So if Chuck Clark's willing to take $1 million for a year at safety, that's much better. If we bring Ashton Davis back to a similar cost, at the end of the day, it's depth. But there's such a good, like sometimes it's about striking while the iron's hot with who's on the market. Last year, Douglas tried to he didn't get him. And now Cincinnati has the line we should have had, in my opinion, with Orlando Brown at left tackle and Becton at right tackle. But sometimes it's about understanding that the value maybe it isn't at running back or wide receiver what you need, but the value is at safety, and you can really improve an area that was a deficiency on this team.
Yeah, I have the Instagram post right here. I have it on my phone, but these are it was so here. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, Kevin Byard, Coleman Shelton, and Jonathan Owens, and they have pick 1 and 9 in the draft. So I'm like, wow, he's actually done a really solid job. The safety I like most is Justin Simmons, Denver.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no way the
He led
Jets.
the NFL, and if I heard right, either he led the NFL last year or the year before in interceptions. So
It
I
was the
feel
year
like
before. It was the year before. Yeah, he was really, really solid. He's gonna command $11 million though, and Joe Douglas is not paying $11 million for a safety.
he
He's like,
made the mistake 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Marcus Williams, that was the guy coming
oh,
out of
that
New
guy.
Orleans. He was unbelievable because, well, if you think about it, so now look at the roster that Baltimore picked.
I met Marcus Williams. He's a really good guy, and that was when he was kind of in the talks with the Jets. I actually met him. Really, really cool guy. Really like him.
Why didn't you lay it on thicker? Come on, man. Do it for the team.
No, wait. It was not. He signed with the Ravens like 2 weeks before I met him. So it was like in the off season, like right as he signed with the Ravens. Because if I met Eckler. I met Eckler last year too when he was thinking about signing with the. He was last year. He was like requesting a trade or something, and he never really came. I'm like, hey, come down. We'll give you Rodgers. Come play with us. And he's like, yeah, I'll think about it.
He signed for cheap too. He only got what, like $6 million a year or something like that.
Yeah, and I think it was with the Commanders too. And who's gonna want to go play for that team? Like he's so I really really good guy too, and a really solid player. Like if I were him, I'd take less money and go play with a good team. But I mean, it's all about the money if you think about it. Like
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make this comparison with the money. If you look at Robert Hunt, who just got $20 million a year, a 5-year, $100 million contract, it's all about the money. If Miami, I mean, keep in mind he's going from Miami, a good team, a relatively solid team in this league, to the Panthers, probably the worst team in all of football, who I think they're lucky if they win 2 games this year. I mean, I just think they're horrible overall. And
Who would have thought that I honestly, like, I'm shocked, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like, I didn't think CJ Stroud was going to be better than Bryce Young. I thought Bryce Young was good.
I didn't either, but I knew Bryce Young was going to struggle just because of that team. That team is so bad. Like you can't put someone his best weapon was DJ Moore wasn't even with them. His best target was like Hayden Hurst. Like you can't do that to a quarterback. And
Last year he got Thielen, but I mean, yeah, like
he did have Thielen, but the team overall, the offensive line was horrible. But Stroud, it didn't look like the Texans were gonna have a great year to start after the draft. I mean, they hit on Tank Dell. If they didn't hit on, obviously he got injured and was out for a long period of time, but they hit on Tank Dell big time. And that team is such a good, like, just a young team. I really enjoyed. They're such them and the Lions are probably my 2 favorite teams to watch in the NFL, just because of how fun they are to watch. Like they have so many, like especially the Lions, like Laporta, Gibbs, all these guys.
a lot of weapons.
St. Brown
is I remember Sanchez's rookie year. We had a similar.
Oh God, how old? I wasn't alive because I remember.
I'm sorry. I know I'm predating you here, but oh my gosh, we had I don't know if it was Curly. There's so many just no-name slot receivers and just random guys. Like even in the recent rookie years, I think Darnold's rookie year, we had like Terrell Pryor, who was quarterback turned wide receiver, and no one really knows if he was going to be anything decent, but there's something to be said about, and when you think about this, look at Peyton Manning's career. Granted, yeah, everyone could say Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, these stud wide receivers that happened, but he had a lot of guys like Austin Collie and oh my God, Pierre Garcon that he made over those years. And there's something to be said about if you have a franchise quarterback, a true franchise quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is, they know how to diagnose the defense. And it doesn't matter if I know Connor is good is just a fast, runs a 4.2 40, I'm going to put you at running back or slot receiver, and they move them around. And that's what good coaching does, right? Like we talked about that earlier. Like good coaching moves everybody around. And there's something about not having a stud number, like identified number wide receiver 1 or tight end 1 that everyone has to take out of the game. When you don't know who you're going to throw the ball to because everyone's on the same level playing field, it adds an element of surprise to the defense where, you know what? Hey, maybe my wide receiver 1 on this is my slot receiver, or maybe my first read is a slot receiver. Maybe my first read's the outside receiver. They don't know. So it gives an advantage to some extent versus as as guys develop reputations and become Pro Bowlers. Hey, I gotta get paid. I gotta get my 80
Yeah.
catches this year and my 10 touchdowns because I'm making 15 million this year. So there is something to be said about that, like no name offense and just the guys that play for each other.
Yeah, I totally agree. Is it okay if we bring another caller on the show?
No. I've been on too long, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Have a great night. Love to keep you on, but if you ever want to come back up here, just come back up. Love having you. Have a great night.
Good show, man. Take care.
See ya. Here we go. There we go.
Tyron
Joe,
Smith, what's up, man?
welcome to the show. I was literally, it's so funny.
Dude, I
The
was
second-
jumping up and down.
The second I saw you come up, I was literally going on my phone to text you to come on the show.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
second you literally popped in. So yeah, Tyron Smith to the Jets. I like it. Let's see. Someone put the let me scroll up in the chat, but someone, did you end up, I got the notification you went live. Did you actually go live?
Yeah, I'm live right now, actually. I was asking, you want to join later on the stream?
Of course, I'd love to hop on after I hop off this. But yeah.
Sorry.
Jets are giving Tyron Smith 1-year deal that with incentives could be worth up to $20 million per source. Jones is said to be looking forward to the idea of protecting Aaron Rodgers.
Up to 20 mil? That's relatively cheap. I thought he was going to ask for a lot more, to be honest.
I like that it's 1 year and there's a ton of incentives. I mean, I was literally I got the notification probably about 40 minutes ago. Yeah, about 40 minutes ago now, but
I got the notification was because of you. I just saw your stream went up.
Oh, really?
I was like,
Yes.
yo, you were always on top of things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was scrolling on Twitter, and I was literally, as you can see, I'm in my pajamas basically right now, just laying down scrolling on Twitter, and I'm like just refreshing like no tomorrow, and then I see Tyron Smith pops up. I run down to my basement and click go live. So yeah, I'm really excited. So now do you think the Jets go? A lot of people are still saying go offensive lineman at 10. Are you with them on that?
I wouldn't be mad with it because in case Tyron Smith gets injured, he's somewhat injury prone. He's older, but I do like, it's incentive based basically because, prove that you can stay healthy. But I think we go, if Odunze falls to us at 10, yeah, we take Odunze. I would love that.
That guy, Romo
I wish.
he's sick. Oscar the Grouch is with you. He got the news from my YouTube headline. I really appreciate it. But I mean, if we could get Odunze at 10 and
Odunze at 10 and having his
imagine if the Jets go out and we sign like a Mike Williams or someone.
Yeah.
Mike Williams, I don't know, Tyler Boyd, and then we get Odunze at 10. Odunze would be our wide receiver 3. That would be or even if we get an OBJ and draft Odunze, that would be 6 still.
Yeah. All right, man. It was good to talk to you. Hopefully, I can invite you to the stream maybe in a bit if you want.
Yeah, so I'll probably be on for another 10-15 minutes talking about the signing, and then just text me the link and I'll hop on. I'll hop on in a little.
Yeah, my cousin's also here. Is that okay?
Nice. Yeah, of course.
He's a big fan of you because he gave us shout outs and everything. He's a big fan. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night. Definitely text me the link. I'll hop on later.
Yeah, gotcha. See ya.
There we go. Those were our 2 callers tonight. Hope to see more of you guys in the chat. Malik Neighbors, Romo, Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Worthy are all in play at 10. Yeah. I forgot the in my opinion part. My bad. I'll reread that. Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Worthy are all in play at 10, in my opinion. Oscar, do you want to call in? Really appreciate all support. Would you be interested in calling in? Would any of you guys in the chat like to call in? Because I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say on the signing over stream. And if you guys don't want to show your face, you could turn your camera off. Totally up to you guys if you want to turn your camera on or off when you call in. I would just really like to hear what you guys have to say on air. Really, really appreciate all support. Oscar, what are your thoughts? And everyone in the chat too, along with Oscar. But wow. This signing, wow. Can't believe I've been on for 46 minutes already. Feel like I've been on for 30 seconds, but really, really, really like this signing. Really do. I didn't think it was going to happen, personally. I thought there was literally like a 0% chance that we got this deal done. But, Joe Douglas comes in clutch, gets the deal done. Really, really good move. Really, 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 really big move. Now we just need a wide receiver 2. Yep, we do. Still need to fill that. Guys want to call in, pin comment in the chat if you'd like to call into the show. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Really, really like to hear your opinion. Everything what's happening, also type in the chat if you guys would like. But, oh, man, this is crazy. Never expected this. Never, ever, ever expected this. Especially after trading for Moses. Never expected a deal of this sort to kind of come up. Staying for another couple minutes. Guys want me to keep going? Just let me know in the chat if you want me to keep going or not. Just wow. Scrolling and bam. The news that drew eyes immediately. Just boom. Tyron Smith to the Jets. Freaking crazy, man. Crazy. Really, really like the move. Guys, I think that's it for me tonight. 48 minutes in. I was gonna literally come on essentially for 5 minutes and then got a bunch of callers. Got to talk to all you guys in the chat. Appreciate all the support. Thank you guys for watching. Tyron Smith is a New York Jet. Thank you guys for watching. Jets. Jets.